Tonight, we're stepping inside a medieval inn, not for the ale or the roasted meat, but for something nobody talks about. What it actually felt like to be a traveler in the Middle Ages when the road ran out, the light failed, and you had no choice but to push open a door and surrender yourself to whatever was waiting inside. If you're new here, hit subscribe. This channel is built for nights exactly like this one. And before we begin, drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from and what time it is. Get comfortable, pull the covers up. Let's begin. The light is going, and not the dramatic sunset of the imagination, not golden and slow and beautiful. The light of a late afternoon in November in medieval England goes the way English light always goes, quickly, grudgingly, without ceremony. One moment the road is visible ahead of you, the ruts and stones and the occasional patch of mud that has been mud since October and will be mud until April. The next moment the road is a suggestion in a landscape that is rapidly becoming indistinct. You have been walking since before dawn, or riding if you are lucky enough to have a horse, and in this telling, let us say you have a horse, a solid and uncomplaining animal who has covered the same miles you have and is beginning to make his opinion of the situation known in the way horses make opinions known, which is to slow down slightly and angle toward anything that might contain food. You are a traveler in medieval England, somewhere in the vicinity of the year 1300. You are not a great lord. A great lord would not be on this road without a retinue and advance arrangements, and people whose entire job is to ensure that tonight's accommodation is sorted before tonight arrives. You are something more ordinary than that. A merchant, perhaps, moving between markets with goods in your saddlebags. A pilgrim making for a shrine. A messenger with a letter that needs delivering. A minor official on the business of someone more important than yourself. Your business does not matter tonight. What matters tonight is the building ahead of you, barely visible in the failing light, with the smoke rising from its chimney and the faint sound of voices carrying across the cold air. The inn. You have found shelter for the night, or something that calls itself shelter. The difference between those two things is one of the central questions of the next 8 hours, and you will not know the answer until morning. For now, your horse has made his decision and is walking faster. The inn is ahead. Let's go in. Stop for a moment before you push the door. Look up. Hanging above the entrance, on an iron bracket fixed to the timber frame, is the inn sign. It is painted wood or possibly carved, and it bears an image rather than words because most of the people who need to identify this building cannot read. A bush of evergreen, holly or ivy is the oldest sign, the one that predates the painted boards, the ancient signal that ale is available here. Many inns still hang a bush even when they have a proper sign, the old custom surviving alongside the new. The sign itself might be a crossed keys, suggesting welcome and safety, a white hart, or a black bear, or a red lion. These animal signs are everywhere on the English road, and they tell you little about the quality of what is inside, except that it has been here long enough to establish a name. A pilgrim's badge or a saint's image suggests a house that has made itself useful to the pilgrim trade and knows how to manage religious travelers, which is a particular skill set. What you are actually reading in the sign and in the building behind it is a rapid assessment of what tonight holds. The timber frame looks solid, no visible rot, No walls that have developed opinions of their own about the direction they would prefer to lean. The thatch on the roof is reasonably recent. The smoke from the chimney is clean, which means the fire is burning good wood rather than green timber or peat, which means either the innkeeper is prosperous enough to buy season fuel, or it is early enough in winter that he has not yet run through his supply. The sound of voices from inside is steady, but not frantic. Not the particular quality of sound that means the evening has already gotten out of hand. You make your assessment. It is not scientific. It is the judgment of a person who has spent several nights in inns and has developed a feel for which ones are which. The way experienced travelers always develop this feel, because the alternative is to go in blind and live with the consequences. Your assessment is adequate, possibly better than adequate. Tonight might be fine. You push the door. The smell arrives before anything else. Every inn has its specific smell, compounded of its particular combination of ale and cooking and smoke, and the accumulated warmth of bodies and animals and years of use. And this one is no exception. You stand in the doorway for a moment while your eyes adjust to the firelight and your nose catalogues what it is encountering. Ale first, because there is always ale. The particular sour, yeasty smell of it that is everywhere in medieval England, in houses and taverns and churches, and the breath of almost everyone you have spoken to today. This ale smells reasonably good, which means the alewife or the innkeeper's wife knows her business and has not been cutting the batch with water beyond the point where the ale retains any of its qualities. Food under the ale, something cooking, something with onions, and the dark background note of salted meat, the kind of pottage that has been on the fire since this morning and will be on the fire until it runs out, which in a busy inn might be tomorrow, or it might be the day after. It smells acceptable. You have eaten worse things than inn pottage. You have eaten pottage that was genuinely attempting to do you harm, and you are still here, which is a form of experience. Smoke, of course. The fire in the central hearth is doing its work, which means most of the smoke is going up through the vent in the roof, and a certain percentage is staying in the room, because that is what fire smoke does, and there is nothing to be done about it. Your eyes will adjust. By morning, you will not notice it. Behind all of this, something harder to name, the warmth of occupied space, the particular temperature of a room that has had human beings in it all day. After the road, after the cold and the wind and the slow hours of exposure, this warmth hits you with an almost physical force. You step inside. The door closes behind you. The innkeeper is already looking at you from across the room. He has assessed you before you have finished closing the door. This is his profession. Every person who steps through that door is a calculation, what they need, what they can pay, what trouble they might cause, how long they plan to stay. He has been making this calculation several times a day for years, and he is good at it in the way that people become good at things they do constantly and that have real consequences when they go wrong. He is a large man, not tall particularly, but solid, with the kind of physical presence that comes from spending 20 years managing a room full of people who have been drinking. He is not armed, visibly. He does not need to be. There is a staff behind the bar that is not primarily decorative, and there are two other men in the room who will respond to a certain look from him with a certain efficiency, and he has had enough experience of difficult situations to know how to avoid most of them before they begin. You approach the bar. The negotiation is brief and follows the lines that all such negotiations follow. You tell him what you need: a bed for the night, supper, fodder, and stabling for your horse. He tells you the price. The price is slightly higher than it should be, because you are visibly a traveler who arrived after dark without alternatives, and he knows this, and you know he knows this. But the price is not so high that it constitutes an insult, because he also knows that travelers talk to each other on the road, and a reputation for gouging is bad for business. You pay what he asks, or you pay what you negotiate to, which is slightly less than what he asked, because haggling is expected, and he has built the haggling margin into the opening price. This is a ritual as established as the liturgy, and both parties understand their roles. He calls to a boy, the ostler's boy or his own son, impossible to tell, who emerges from somewhere and takes your horse. You watch the horse go with the specific attention of a person whose horse is their most valuable possession, and who has heard enough stories about horses that went into inn stables and came out somewhat lighter. The innkeeper slides a cup of ale across the bar. You are a guest now. Sit down. Take a moment to look at the room. The common room of a medieval inn is not large by the standards of a great hall, but it is large enough for its purpose, which is to contain as many paying customers as possible in the vicinity of the fire and the ale supply. The ceiling is low. Timber beams overhead, dark with years of smoke, hung with bundles of dried herbs that are partly fragrant and partly structural, wedged into the gaps between the beams to block drafts. The floor is rushes, newer than you might expect from an inn of this age, which is a good sign. The innkeeper cares about appearances, or his wife does, which amounts to the same thing in its practical effects. The furniture is simple and heavy: trestle tables, benches, a few stools near the fire for people who arrived early and have earned the right to the warmest seats. The bar is a plank across two barrels, behind which the ale is kept and from which the innkeeper administers the evening. Look at the other people in the room. Near the fire, two men who have the look of local farmers come in for the evening, not staying the night, just drinking, as is their habit and their right, since the inn serves the surrounding community as much as it serves travelers. They are talking in the low, continuous way of men who have been talking to each other for 30 years and have run out of new things to say, but have not run out of the habit of talking. At the long table, three men who arrived before you. Merchants by the look of them, good wool cloaks, boots that cost money, the kind of careful attention to their saddlebags that suggest the saddlebags contain something worth being careful about. They are eating and speaking quietly and paying attention to the room in the way that experienced travelers pay attention to rooms, which is to say, constantly and without appearing to. By the door, a young man who arrived after you and who has the particular twitchy alertness of someone on his first long journey alone. He is drinking his ale too fast and looking at everyone with the expression of someone who has been told to be careful and is finding that being careful is harder than it sounded. You note all of this and return to your ale. The fire crackles. Supper is coming. The pottage arrives in a wooden bowl, carried by a girl of perhaps 12, who is either the innkeeper's daughter or an indentured servant, or some combination of the two arrangements. And it is hot, which is the first thing you need from it. The smell, up close, is better than it promised from across the room. Onions and leeks, barley, the dark, sweet note of turnip, and the meat. Salt pork, small pieces of it, cooked long enough that the salt has mostly dissolved into the broth, and what is left is a depth of flavor that plain vegetables could not achieve. It is not a complex dish. It has never tried to be a complex dish. It is what in pottage has always been and will always be. Hot and filling and designed to absorb the ale in your stomach before it causes you to make decisions you will regret. Alongside it, bread. The bread is yesterday's, which in an inn means it is denser and harder than it was when it came from the oven, but still entirely edible, still capable of doing the essential work of bread, which is to soak up the pottage broth and carry it to your mouth in a form that does not require a spoon. You tear it and use it this way without thinking about it, because this is how everyone eats and has always eaten, and the spoon is for the bowl and the bread is for the soaking. The ale refill arrives without being asked for, which is either hospitality or salesmanship, and is probably both. You eat. Around you, the room has filled slightly. 2 more travelers arrived while you were at the bar. A monk traveling alone who settled at the end of the long table and produced his own small loaf from his bag before accepting a bowl of pottage, and a woman with a child who might be a merchant's wife traveling to meet her husband, or might be something else entirely and whose business is not yours. The fire is built up for the evening. The smoke thickens slightly and then clears as the new wood catches. The room reaches its maximum warmth of the day, the combined heat of the fire and the bodies and the ale and the cooking doing what it can against the January night pressing against the shutters. You finish the pottage. You finish the bread. You order 1 more ale, the last one, the one that is supposed to carry you to sleep rather than past it. The evening is winding down. The night is approaching. Before you sleep, you check on your horse. This is not a courtesy. This is the action of a person who knows what a horse costs and what it costs to be without one in the middle of a journey, and who has heard enough stories about inn stables to have developed a policy of personal verification. The stable is at the back of the inn, accessible through a door from the common room or around the side of the building, through a yard that is cold and dark and smells of the things that yards behind inns smell of. You take the latter route, your breath clouding in the January air, your boots finding the frozen ruts with the precision of someone who has done this kind of navigation before. The stable is warm. This is the first thing you notice, and it is a genuine relief. A warm stable means the animals are generating enough heat to raise the temperature above the outside air, which means the stable is full enough and the structure solid enough to hold that warmth. Your horse is in a stall near the middle, which is a good sign. The middle stalls are warmer than the end ones, and the ostler's boy has made a reasonable allocation. The horse looks at you. He has hay in front of him, and water, and the particular settled quality of an animal that has been cared for adequately by someone who knew what they were doing. His back is dry. The boy has rubbed him down after the ride. His legs look clean. He has the expression of an animal who has made peace with his situation. You check his feet. You run your hands over his legs in the routine way that horse people check legs, feeling for heat or swelling that would indicate a problem developing. Everything is as it should be. You give him an unnecessary pat on the neck, which is for you rather than for him, and he tolerates it with the patience of an animal who has learned to tolerate unnecessary pats as a feature of human behavior. The stable smells of hay and horse and the particular warmth of large animals in an enclosed space. Several other horses are settled in the other stalls. From the far end, the sound of something smaller, a mule perhaps, or a donkey, making the periodic sound that mules and donkeys make in the night. which is deeply undignified and entirely heartfelt. You make your way back to the common room. Your horse is fine. You can sleep. The innkeeper's wife shows you to your bed. She carries a tallow candle in a clay holder, and she moves through the inn with the efficient authority of someone who knows exactly where everything is, because she put everything where it is, and she knows its current condition, because she checked it this morning. She is a small woman with the kind of physical energy that has no interest in being noticed, and she has assessed you in approximately 4 seconds and decided you are probably not going to cause a problem, which is the highest compliment the innkeeper's wife pays to guests. The sleeping space is upstairs, if this inn has an upstairs, or in a room off the main hall if it does not. In this inn, there is an upstairs, a low-ceilinged space accessed by a ladder or steep stairs, divided by rough timber partitions into sections that are not quite rooms and not quite not rooms. Each section contains a bed. The bed is a wooden frame with rope supports over which a straw mattress has been laid, over which a wool blanket has been placed. There are no curtains. There is no canopy. There is no warming pan and no fire and no window that closes properly, the last of which is currently admitting a thin knife of cold air that the wool blanket will be required to compensate for. The straw mattress is newer than you expected, which is either a sign that the inn turns over its bedding regularly or that something happened to the previous mattress that made replacement necessary. You decide not to pursue this line of inquiry. The blanket is thick and smells of the wool it was made from and of smoke and of the accumulated nights of previous travelers, none of which is pleasant, but all of which is familiar. You have slept under blankets that smelled exactly like this in every inn between here and wherever you started. The smell of a medieval inn blanket is the smell of the road. It is, in its way, the smell of progress. The innkeeper's wife sets the candle on a small shelf, tells you that breakfast is at dawn if you want it, and that the candle should last an hour, and that the door to the street is bolted at Compline, and if you need to leave before the gate is opened in the morning, you should speak to her husband tonight. She leaves. You sit on the edge of the bed. The straw rustles beneath you. The night begins. You are not alone in this bed. This is the moment, if you are a modern reader, where the medieval inn most decisively parts company with your expectations. The bed is not yours. The bed belongs to the inn, and the inn allocates it to whoever needs it. And if the inn is full, which it frequently is, because inns exist on the roads that connect places people need to go between, and those roads are always busy, then the bed is shared. The man already in your half of the bed is asleep, or nearly so. He arrived earlier than you. You registered him in the common room, one of the 3 merchants at the long table, and he has established his position on the right side of the straw mattress, and he is now occupying it with the settled determination of a person who has done this enough times that the social complications of sharing a bed with a stranger have been fully processed and filed under necessary reality. He does not snore. This is immediately apparent and immediately appreciated. He is roughly your size, which is relevant because the blanket is a fixed quantity and the distribution of it is a zero-sum negotiation that will happen in your sleep without either of you making conscious decisions about it. A bedfellow significantly larger than you means you will wake cold. A bedfellow significantly smaller means he will wake cold. The fact that you are approximately matched is as close to ideal as the medieval inn experience gets. There is etiquette to this. You know it and he knows it, and it is as observed and as real as any other social convention of the period. You take your side. You do not crowd toward his side. You do not steal the blanket in any obvious way. If he coughs, you move slightly. If he moves, you adjust without comment. You are sharing a bed with a stranger, and you will both pretend throughout the night that this is not remarkable, because in your world, it is not remarkable. It is Tuesday. You pull the blanket over yourself. He makes a small adjustment of his own. The candle still burns on the shelf. You lie back on the straw. Lie still and listen. The inn at night is not quiet. It is quieter than it was at the height of the evening. The farmers have gone home. The common room has emptied of everyone except the guests who are sleeping in it. The innkeeper has finished his last round and retired. But it is not quiet. It is a building full of people and animals and the architecture of a structure that was not built for silence. Through the partition to your left, someone is already in deep sleep, the particular quality of breathing that goes past snoring into something more substantial, the full surrender of a body that has been on the road for several days and has reached the limit of what it can sustain on will alone. The sound is not unpleasant once you adjust to its rhythm. It is the sound of a person genuinely asleep, which is its own kind of company. Below you, in the common room, the fire is banked but not dead. You can hear it occasionally, a low pop or crackle when a piece of wood settles. The draft through the floor sometimes carries the smell of wood smoke up through the boards, and you breathe it in without noticing. From the stable, via the gap under the exterior wall and the general permeability of medieval inn construction, the periodic sound of horses shifting. Your horse is probably among them. He is probably fine. The wind outside is working on the shutters of the window at the end of the sleeping space, finding the gap between the shutter edge and the frame and inserting itself through it with a thin, persistent sound that is below the level of actively annoying but above the level of not noticing. You have heard this sound in every inn this winter. It is the sound of medieval window technology doing what it can, which is not quite enough. From somewhere below, or perhaps next door, voices, very low, past the point of distinguishable words. Just the sound of two people talking in the way people talk when the day is over and the fire is low and there is nothing left to do but say whatever has been waiting to be said. The inn breathes around you. You close your eyes. You are not going to sleep immediately, not because you are not tired. You are exhausted, genuinely, the kind of tired that sits in the legs and the shoulders and the small of the back and does not move when you lie down. Not because the bed is uncomfortable. The bed is entirely adequate by the standards you are accustomed to. You are not going to sleep immediately because there is a list, and the list needs to be reviewed before the night can proceed. The first thing on the list is theft. Your saddlebags are with you, not in the stable, not left in the common room, here, within reach of your hand, because the medieval inn is a place where theft occurs, and the people most likely to relieve you of your goods are the people sharing the sleeping space with you. The man in your bed might be perfectly honest. He probably is. But you do not know him, and your saddlebags contain several months of careful trading, and you are not going to leave them somewhere inaccessible on the basis of a probability. You check that your hand is close enough to the bags to feel movement. The second thing is your horse. You checked him and he was fine, but the night is long and things can happen in stables that the morning reveals in ways that the evening check does not predict. The third thing which you are less willing to name directly even to yourself, is the room. The other people in it. The young man with the twitchy alertness you noticed in the common room is somewhere in this sleeping space, and twitchy alertness in a young man on his first long journey can mean several things, and most of them are fine, but not all of them. You listen. Everything sounds as it should. The breathing next to you is steady. The breathing through the partition is the total unconsciousness of genuine exhaustion. The twitchy young man is either asleep or managing his anxiety quietly, which is all you can ask. The lists reviewed, nothing on the list is currently active. You breathe. The candle is burning down. They were here before you arrived, and they will be here after you leave. The fleas of the medieval inn are not a variable. They are a constant, as reliable as the fire and the ale and the innkeeper's assessment of your ability to pay. They live in the straw of the mattress, in the wool of the blanket, in the rushes of the common room floor, in the fur of the inn's dogs, in the clothes of every traveller who has slept in this bed before you, and every traveller who will sleep in it after you. They are the inn's most consistent guests, and they have never paid for the privilege. You feel the first one now, the ankle. It is always the ankle. You scratch it with the automatic precision of someone who has scratched this exact location at this exact point in going to bed in inns for several years, and you note it without fully waking, the way you note all the small discomforts of the road as information rather than crisis. The medieval traveller who cannot sleep in an inn because of fleas is a medieval traveller who cannot sleep. You know people who carry sachets of pennyroyal specifically for this purpose, dried pennyroyal sewn into a small cloth bag, tucked into the bedding, releasing its particular sharp scent that fleas avoid. You have your own small sachet, produced from your bag with the efficiency of long habit, tucked under the edge of the mattress where it will do what it can. What it can is reduce, not eliminate. You know this. The sachet is optimism rather than solution. But optimism has its uses at 11 in the evening in a cold inn with a long day behind you and another long day ahead. The flea finds somewhere else, or you stop noticing it, which is not the same thing, but serves the same purpose. The candle has burned to a stub. Its light is minimal now, a small amber point in the darkness that illuminates nothing but itself. The man beside you turns in his sleep. The blanket shifts. You pull it back. And then, despite everything, you sleep. The body has its own priorities, and they are not complicated. You have been moving since before dawn. You have covered perhaps 20 miles or 25, the exact number dependent on the state of the road and the condition of your horse and the number of times you stopped. You have been cold for most of it and tired for the last half of it, and the particular quality of tiredness that comes from a full day of travel is a specific and thorough kind that does not negotiate. The first sleep comes quickly. Beneath you, the straw rustles and settles as your weight finds its arrangement. The blanket is heavy, heavier than it looks, the way good wool blankets are always heavier than they look, and its weight is itself a kind of comfort, the physical sensation of being held down, of the world having edges again after the open exposure of the road. Your feet are still cold. Your feet will be cold for a while yet. But the rest of you is beginning to accumulate warmth in the small space between your body and the blanket, the microclimate that every sleeping person builds from their own heat, and the cold is retreating. The sounds of the inn recede, not gone. The fire, the wind, the breathing of the man beside you, the horses below, but moved to a different distance, the distance at which the sleeping mind keeps things. It does not need to act on, but has not yet decided to stop monitoring. The road plays through your closed eyes briefly. The ruts and the stones and the patches of mud and the grey sky and the miles. Then even that fades. You are not on the road anymore. You are somewhere below the road, below the inn, below the cold and the negotiations and the list. You are asleep. The first sleep holds you. Rest. Somewhere in the first sleep, the candle reaches the end of its wick and goes out. You do not notice. You are deeply under. The first sleep has you completely, the body doing the restorative work that the road has made urgent, the muscles releasing what they have been holding, the mind filing away the day in whatever system it uses for days like this one. The candle going out is an event in the room, but not in your consciousness. The darkness that follows is the darkness of a medieval room with no artificial light and no moon and shuttered windows, and it is complete. Not the darkness of a modern bedroom with its standby lights and digital clock glow, and the ambient light of a city that never fully sleeps. The darkness of this room, in this inn, on this road, in the year 1300, is the darkness that was standard for all of human history before the last 2 centuries. It is total. The man beside you is breathing in the slow rhythm of deep sleep. Through the partition, the same. Through the floor, the fire is the dimmest possible glow, not even visible from here, just inferable from the faint warmth that rises through the boards. Outside, the wind continues its work on the shutters. The darkness is not threatening. You would not know it was threatening because you are asleep. But the room has changed. The small amber point of the candle, which was barely illuminating anything, was nonetheless a presence, a reference point, a confirmation that the world had edges and directions. Without it, the room is formless. The ceiling might be 6 inches above your face or 6 feet. The partition to your left is inferred rather than visible. The man beside you is a warmth and a sound rather than a shape. This is the medieval night in its natural state, not managed by light, not softened by it, simply dark, from the going out of the last candle to the coming of whatever light the dawn provides. The darkness holds everything in it. You sleep on, unknowing. The night continues its work. You wake. The darkness is total, and you know immediately where you are, which is the skill that the traveling life develops in you. The immediate inventory of where you are and whether anything has changed. Room, not outdoors. Bed, not floor. Man beside you still breathing, still on his side of the blanket. The fire. You check it by smell and sound. The faint warmth still coming through the floor. The occasional low sound of coals. And conclude it has not died. Good. Someone downstairs is keeping it. You are in the between sleep hour. You know this the way you have always known it, the way everyone in your world knows it, not as a problem, not as insomnia, simply as the natural division of the night. You have slept your first sleep, and your body has taken what it needed from it, and now there is an hour before the second sleep, an hour that is yours in the particular way that nothing in the day is quite yours. You do not get up. The cold outside the blanket is a serious argument against getting up. You lie in the dark and let the hour be what it is. The thoughts come. They always come in this hour. The trading you did today and whether the price you got for the cloth was the best price available, or whether you left something on the table by agreeing too quickly. The letter in your bag that you are carrying for someone else, and which you are trying not to think about what it might contain. Your wife at home, in the house you will not see for another 2 weeks if the road cooperates, and longer if it does not. Your wife most of all. She knows you travel. She has always known you travel. This is your life and her life, and the life you have built together, and she is better at it than you are. The waiting, the management of the household in your absence, the maintaining of everything, while one half of the household is somewhere on a road between markets. She is better at it than you are, and she would tell you this if you asked her, and she would be right. You say a prayer for her in the dark. No one hears it except you and God, which is the appropriate audience for a prayer said in the between-sleep hour in an inn somewhere on the English road. The darkness holds the prayer. The second sleep begins to rise toward you. You go. In the deep of the night, take a moment to think about who else is in this building. You have accounted for the merchants, 3 of them, at least one of whom is your current bedfellow. Behind the partition, the breathing of deep unconsciousness. The monk who arrived for supper is somewhere in this sleeping space, his small bag tucked beneath whatever he is using as a pillow, his breviary probably within reach, because monks keep their breviaries within reach the way you keep your saddlebags within reach, out of habit, out of the understanding that the things that matter most to you should be closest to your body when you are most vulnerable. The woman with the child. You do not know which section of the sleeping space she occupies. The partition arrangement makes it impossible to know without getting up and looking, which you are not going to do. She will have been given a separate section if the inn has one, because women traveling alone or with children are a specific category of guest that innkeepers manage carefully, partly out of genuine concern for their safety, and partly because of what it costs in reputation if something goes wrong. The young man with the twitchy alertness. He is asleep now. You can hear it in the quality of the breathing from the far end of the sleeping space, the deep unconsciousness of someone who has worn himself out with worry and the road and has finally surrendered to exhaustion. He will wake in the morning and the road will have changed him slightly, the way the road changes everyone slightly. Each night in an inn adding to the accumulation of experience that eventually becomes competence. The innkeeper and his wife are somewhere in the building. They have their own room, or rather they have their own section of the building that is not available to guests, and they are sleeping in it with the particular sleep of people who have been on their feet since before dawn and will be on their feet again before their guests wake. The inn does not close between the last guest going to bed and the first one rising. It simply pauses. All of you, strangers to each other, breathing in the dark. The road brought you here. The road will take you away in the morning. For tonight, this is your community. Sleep. There is something moving in the straw below you. Not the fleas, which are too small to register as movement in this way. Not your bedfellow, who is clearly on his side of the mattress. Something with more presence than a flea and less than a cat, moving through the straw of the mattress with the focused attention of an animal on a specific errand. A mouse. Probably. Possibly a rat, if this inn is like most inns, which it is. The rats and mice of the medieval inn are as permanent as the building. They live in the walls, in the thatch, in the straw, in the grain stores that every inn maintains, and they have been doing so for as long as inns have existed. They are not aggressive. They are not interested in you specifically. They are interested in the breadcrumbs in the rushes and the possibility of something edible in the saddlebags that you have unfortunately left within their theoretical range of investigation. You pull the saddlebags closer. The movement in the straw below you continues its business and then stops. The inn keeps a cat. You saw it earlier in the evening. A grey animal of considerable self-possession who was sitting near the fire with the detached air of an animal whose employment is entirely justified by results. The cat works the common room and the kitchen primarily and makes excursions into the sleeping area when the spirit moves it. Whether the spirit has moved it tonight, you cannot determine in this darkness. The medieval traveller who cannot sleep in an inn because of mice is a medieval traveller who cannot sleep. The mice are a feature, not a defect. They come with the straw and the grain and the building and the accumulated presence of human activity. The correct response to them is the response you are performing now, which is to register their presence, make the appropriate adjustment to your saddlebags, and return to sleep. The movement below stops. The cat is earning its keep somewhere, or the mouse has found what it was looking for and is satisfied. Either way, the matter is resolved. You sleep. The cold has been advancing since you lay down, and it has now reached your feet. This is the specific physics of a medieval inn bed on a January night. The blanket traps your body heat adequately in the center, where your core is generating it reliably, but the extremities are at the edge of the blanket's coverage, and the cold finds them with the patient efficiency that cold always brings to this task. Your feet are cold, not dangerously cold. You are inside. You are under a blanket. You are not in any real peril, but cold in the way that becomes a consistent background note in your sleep, surfacing periodically into semi-consciousness and then subsiding. The man beside you is also warm, which is relevant. His body heat is contributing to the shared temperature of the bed in a way that neither of you will acknowledge in the morning, but that both of you are benefiting from tonight. The medieval inn bed is communal precisely because communal warmth is the most reliable warmth available. Two people under one blanket are warmer than one person under one blanket, in the same way that two fires in a room are warmer than one fire. The arithmetic is simple. You tuck your feet under the edge of your own cloak, which you have been using as an additional layer over the blanket. The cloak is wool, and it is your own cloak, and it smells of the road and of you, which is a familiar smell, which is a comfort in itself. The cold retreats to your ankles. This is acceptable. You can sleep with cold ankles. You have been sleeping with cold ankles for the length of this journey, and you will sleep with cold ankles until you reach wherever you are going and sleep in your own bed in your own house, and there is a fire in the room that has been built up specifically because you are home. That is 2 weeks from now. For now, cold ankles. The second sleep has you. It is enough. The second sleep is where the dreams live. Your body has completed its most urgent restorative work in the first sleep, and now it is in the lighter, more permeable phase. The sleep where the brain processes and files, and sometimes, in doing so, produces the vivid experiences that the waking mind calls dreams. Tonight's dream is the road, not the road as it was today, with its ruts and its cold and its accurate representation of all the things that make a day of winter travel exhausting. The road as it is in the dreaming mind, fluid, familiar, leading somewhere that you understand to be important without being able to name exactly what it is. The horse beneath you moves with a smoothness that no real horse achieves on a real road. The weather is indeterminate. The destination is close, always close, in the way that destinations in dreams are always close without ever arriving. Medieval dreamers took this kind of dream seriously. A dream of purposeful travel was a good dream, a prophetic dream, possibly, pointing toward the successful conclusion of the journey. You are not entirely persuaded by dream prophecy in the daylight, when the rational mind has its defenses up. At 4 a.m. in a dark inn, in the between-sleep state where the boundaries are less certain, you are somewhat more open to the possibility. The dream continues. The road in the dream is the road you have traveled, and the road you have not traveled yet, and possibly also the road that exists only in the sleeping mind's version of what roads can be. And these 3 roads are somehow the same road, which is the logic of dreams. Your wife is at the end of it. You know this without seeing it. The horse walks on. The inn holds you. You sleep. Somewhere below you, the innkeeper is awake. Not entirely awake, not dressed and at the bar. The bar is closed. The ale is locked. The common room is dark except for the fire, but not fully asleep either. In the way that people who are responsible for large numbers of other people sleeping in their building do not fully sleep while those people are there. He wakes at sounds, not all sounds. He has long since calibrated himself to the sounds of the inn at night, the fire and the wind and the mice and the horses and the various breathing and moving of a dozen guests in the sleeping spaces above him. These sounds do not wake him. What wakes him is the sound that is not in this catalogue. A voice at an unexpected hour, a movement in a part of the building where movement should not be happening, a horse making a sound that suggests a horse in distress rather than a horse simply existing. He has been an innkeeper for 20 years. He knows every sound this building makes. He knows the particular creak of the 3rd step on the stair to the sleeping space. He knows the way the wind works on the front shutter versus the back shutter, and the difference in sound between them. He knows the sound of a man getting up to relieve himself versus the sound of a man getting up for a different purpose. Tonight, everything sounds as it should. He surfaces briefly, confirms this, and goes back under. His wife sleeps more deeply than he does. This is the division of their labor. He monitors the night. She manages the morning. And between them, they have covered every hour of every day for 20 years without either of them having a complete night's sleep that they can clearly remember. He does not consider this a hardship. This is the inn. The inn requires what it requires. He sleeps. You sleep above him. The building holds you both.
This building is older than you. Not by much, perhaps. A generation, 2 generations. But it has been standing on this road since before you were born, and it will be standing here after you are gone, absorbing everything that passes through it. The timber frame has been replaced in sections. The thatch has been renewed. The rushes on the floor are changed twice a year. The straw in the mattresses annually. The blankets when they finally surrender. But the building persists. Think about what these walls have held. Every traveller on this road has stopped here, or at the inn that stood here before this one, or at the inn that will stand here after this one collapses into the ground or burns. And every one of them has laid down in something like this room and had something like this night. The merchant going in the direction you came from. The pilgrim who stopped here the night before the relic he was seeking worked its miracle or did not. The messenger carrying news that changed something or carried it to the wrong place or arrived a day too late. The ordinary farmer going to market who is the actual majority of this road's traffic and who leaves no trace in any record. The inn knows them the way a road knows its travellers, not individually, not with any capacity for memory or recognition, but in the aggregate. The accumulated wear of feet on the floor, the smoke stains on the ceiling that represent years of fires, the groove in the bar where elbows have rested. You are one night in this building's history. You will leave in the morning and the building will not register your departure. The bed will be made, or the straw turned, the blanket shaken, the minimum maintenance that constitutes making an inn bed. And the next traveller will lie down in the same space and have their own version of this night. This is not melancholy. It is simply true. The road continues, and the inn endures, and the travellers pass through, and the building holds them all equally for the price of a night's lodging. You are held. Sleep. Through the partition, the monk is not entirely asleep. He woke for matins. He always wakes for matins. The body clock of a man who has followed the canonical hours since his novitiate is more reliable than any mechanical clock, and the night office has been built into his rhythm so deeply that the bell is almost redundant. He woke, prayed in the darkness of the sleeping space in the low murmur that is below the threshold of disturbing anyone else, and returned to sleep. He is travelling alone, which is technically against the rule of most monastic orders. Monks are supposed to travel in pairs, for the obvious reasons that the road presents to a single person, but the needs of whatever errand he is on have overridden the rule for this journey, and he is managing the contradiction with the pragmatism of a man who has spent enough years in institutional life to understand the difference between the rule as written and the rule as lived. He carries his breviary. He carries a letter sealed with his abbot's seal. He carries a small wooden carving of the Madonna that he has had since he entered the monastery, that came from his mother's house, that is the one personal object he owns in any meaningful sense. The carving lives in the inside pocket of his habit, closest to his heart in the way that important things are kept closest to the body. In the morning he will say lauds quietly before the other guests wake. He will eat his own bread at breakfast rather than the inn's bread, not from fussiness, but from the dietary rules of his order, which he maintains on the road as faithfully as he can. He will pay for his pottage and his ale and his stable space, and he will be on the road before the light is full. But now he sleeps.
His breathing through the partition is steady and deep. Whatever he is carrying to wherever he is going, tonight it rests. Sleep beside him. This is the coldest hour. You know it without opening your eyes. The particular quality of the cold, the way it has worked through every layer and reached a new depth, the specific temperature of the air on the small patch of your face that is exposed above the blanket. All of this is information that adds up to 3 in the morning or thereabouts. The fire downstairs, Kimugis, is at its lowest. The innkeeper's middle-of-the-night check has kept it alive, but it is doing minimal work, just enough to say it is still there. The warmth that was in the floorboards when you lay down has long since migrated elsewhere. The room is cold in the settled, committed way of a space that has given up pretending otherwise. Your bedfellow is a warm shape beside you. The blanket is holding. Your cloak over blanket arrangement is doing what it was designed to do. The darkness outside the shutters has that specific quality that 3 in the morning has. Not the deep black of midnight, not the directional darkness of before dawn. Something in between. The hour when the night has been going on long enough that its darkness has become a kind of weather, ambient and complete. You are aware of your body in the way you are only aware of it in this hour. Its position, its temperature, its complaints. The hip that has been pressing into the mattress for several hours and is now making its view known. The shoulder that will be stiff in the morning from the combination of the day's riding and the angle at which you have been sleeping. These are minor. You have woken in worse condition from better beds. The darkness holds everything. The inn is still. The road is outside, frozen and empty, waiting for morning. You are not on the road. You are here, held by the building, the blanket, the warmth of the man beside you who is also not on the road. The cold is what it is. It always passes. Sleep. Somewhere below, a door. Not the outer door. The outer door is bolted, and the bolt is heavy, and the sound of it opening would be unmistakable. This is an interior door. The kitchen door, perhaps, or the door to the innkeeper's private room, opening and closing with the casual sound of someone who has a right to be moving in this building at this hour. You surface slightly from the second sleep. Not fully. You are in the light upper layer of it, where sounds register, and you catalogue the sound and find it acceptable and begin to descend again. From the far end of the sleeping space, a cough. The young man, you recognize the voice, or the not quite voice of an involuntary sound. He has been asleep for hours. The cough is one cough, the body clearing itself, and it does not repeat. The horses shift in the stable below, the particular hollow percussion of hooves on packed earth, one animal repositioning, the others undisturbed. The wind finds a new angle on the shutters. For a moment, the sound changes from the familiar thin whistle to a brief, harder note, as if the wind has decided to make a point, and then it returns to the whistle. These are the sounds of a full building in the deep of the night. Not alarming sounds. Not the sounds that bring the innkeeper upright in his bed. Just the sounds of a building being a building. Of animals being animals. Of people being people in the way that people are at 3:30 in the morning, which is to say, mostly unconscious and occasionally coughing. You catalogue them and find them acceptable, and let the second sleep take you back. The inn is not disturbed. You are not disturbed. The night continues. The darkness is changing. Not lighter, not visible light, not yet, but different. The quality of the dark has shifted in the way it always shifts, in the hour before dawn, the way you have learned to read after enough nights on the road. A slight thinning, a reduction in the sense of weight, as if the darkness is beginning to consider the possibility of its own ending. Below you, the fire. You hear it being built up, the sound of the innkeeper or his wife adding wood, the specific sound of logs being placed, the brief crackle as fresh wood meets hot coals, the increase in the fire's voice from murmur to conversation. The kitchen is waking. Somewhere, bread is being prepared for the morning. The oven was banked last night specifically for this, the residual heat kept for the morning bread, and it will be ready before the guests rise. The smell of the bread, when it comes, will be the inn's best moment of the day. It will filter up through the building and reach the sleeping space as the one unambiguous sensory pleasure of a medieval inn morning. Warm bread, baked overnight, the smell of it preceding the loaves themselves by an hour and improving everything it touches. Your bedfellow has shifted, not awake, but lighter in his sleep, the body beginning its own negotiation with morning. He will wake before you, you think. He has the look of a man who gets up early and gets an early start, the look of a merchant for whom time on the road before the traffic thickens is a professional advantage. You lie in the warmth that has accumulated through the night, the communal warmth of two bodies under one blanket, and you feel it with a clarity that you could not have felt last night when you lay down cold and catalogued your fears. It is warm here. The road will be cold, but the road is not yet. The bread is coming. Sleep for a little longer. Through the partition, very quietly, the monk is praying. The Latin words are below the level of comprehension from here. Not silence, but sound without intelligible content. The rhythm of the canonical hours in a voice kept so low that it is more felt than heard. A presence in the air, rather than words in the air. Lords. The dawn office. The prayer that greets the light that has not yet arrived. In your world, this is not remarkable. The monk who prays the hours is simply doing what monks do, and the hours have been prayed in this way in this country for hundreds of years and will be prayed in this way for hundreds more, and the sound of Latin moving quietly through the darkness of an inn sleeping space is as ordinary as the sound of the wind on the shutters. But lie still and listen to it for a moment, not for its content, but for its quality. There is something in the sound of a person praying in the dark that is distinct from all other sounds. It has a consistency that the body's other nighttime sounds do not have. Not the randomness of a cough, not the rhythm of breathing that varies with the depth of sleep. It is intentional. Someone on the other side of that partition has chosen to be awake at this hour and has chosen what to do with the wakefulness and is doing it with the unhurried attention of a person for whom this is not performance but practice. You are not a monk. You do not keep the hours with any rigor, but you say your own brief prayer in the dark, the morning prayer that asks for safe travel and fair roads, and the health of the people you are moving toward, and the people you have left behind. The monk's voice continues, very low, threading through the dark. The dawn is coming. The road is waiting. But for this moment, the prayer holds the room, and you are in the room. Sleep. The light comes through the shutters, not dramatically, grey and thin, the specific winter morning light of England in January that is less the arrival of day than the departure of night, a grudging acknowledgement that darkness cannot continue indefinitely, but it is light, unmistakably, and the room has edges again, and the man beside you has a face, and the wooden beams of the ceiling are visible, and the sleeping space is a space rather than a formless dark. Your bedfellow is already awake. You felt him go. The careful extrication of a man trying not to disturb, the small courtesy of the shared bed, practiced and genuine. He is somewhere below you, at the bar perhaps, eating the bread that has been coming up through the building for the last hour as a smell, and is now available as an actual thing. You sit up. The cold announces itself immediately and completely. While you were under the blanket, the warmth was real and sustained, and the cold was theory. Now the cold is experience, and the blanket is something you are looking at rather than something you are inside. This is the hardest moment of the inn morning, the transition from the warmth you have built through the night to the cold that has been waiting for you. You put on your boots. You pull your cloak around you. You run your hands through your hair and over your face in the gestures of someone preparing to be seen. Below, the common room is alive. The fire is full and bright. The bread is on the table, a whole loaf, not yesterday's heel. And there is pottage on the fire for those who want it, and ale for those who want that instead. The merchants are at the table. The monk is in the corner, finishing his own breakfast. The innkeeper is behind the bar, with the expression of a man who has been up since before everyone else, and would like this to be acknowledged. You sit down. You eat the bread. Outside, through the opening of the door that someone has wedged against the frame, the road is visible, frozen, grey, leading in the direction you are going. It has been waiting for you. After breakfast, you collect your horse from the stable. He looks at you with the expression of an animal who is aware that departure is imminent and has made peace with it. You check his feet. You arrange your saddlebags. You pay the innkeeper the amount agreed, which is the amount you paid last night, which is the amount that was negotiated at the bar, with the efficiency of both parties understanding the ritual. The inn releases you. The road takes you back. You ride out through the morning cold. The inn behind you. The road ahead. The bread warming you from the inside, in the way that a good inn breakfast should. Tonight there will be another inn. It will be similar and different. The straw will smell different. The bedfellow will be a different stranger. The fire will have its own voice. The fleas will be the fleas of that particular mattress rather than these. And you will lie down in it and go through the list and pull the blanket around you and close your eyes, and the road will be behind you, and the warmth will come slowly, and you will sleep. This is the travelling life. This is what it was to be on the road in the medieval world. Tonight, in your warm, modern bed, with your central heating and your locked door and your mattress that was designed for exactly you, and your pillow and your darkness that is not truly dark. Spare a thought for the traveller on the frozen road. He found his inn. He made it through the night. He is already riding.